Hi, my name's Emma, and I'm a huge book nerd.
You're my library, always open for business, but you never show it. You're just sitting with it, but I know the score, and you're killing it.
How is it time for my January wrap up already? This month has gone by so fast. It also probably doesn't help that this is a very short month, but I did not get a ton of reading done this month, sadly, so this video will be pretty short. Well, the lighting just changed because I forgot to open my blinds before, but here we are. So technically the first thing that I read in February was The Mask of Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe, which is a short story, and I read it because my book club was reading The Shining and it's mentioned in The Shining and used pretty heavily, so I read it so that I would know what's going on. And I think it's a great short story. I don't know, I would give it 4 stars. Next in February I read Mechanol by Sophie Treadwell, and this is a play. It's basically about a young woman who kills her husband, and you basically find out like what drives her to do that. That's not a spoiler, that's like something that is in the foreword of the play. I read it for class and I honestly really liked it. The writing style is really cool. It has a very mechanic rhythm to it, so it just like there's a lot of people talking over each other and they all seem to like fit as a cog in this machine, which is like kind of the point, which is really cool. I love that like stylized writing sort of thing where you can do fun stuff with words. So then I listened to an audiobook, and that is Starflight by Melissa Lander, and this was fine. It's a YA sci-fi like adventure novel, like space pirates, stuff like that. Once I got to the end of it and like reflected back on it, like yes, it was fun, but it was not the best book. There were some things that were like maybe a little bit questionable, so I ended up giving it 2 stars. I think that happened because it's a YA book and like I just can't stand, there's YA romance in it. Nothing makes my eyes roll harder than a YA romance, but it was for sure fun. So if you're into space pirates and YA romance, then you'll probably really like this. Next I read another play for class, and that is The House of Bernarda Alba by Federico Garcia Lorca, and this is a play about an older woman who has a bunch of daughters, and she is very, very strict, and she sort of like keeps them all like locked up in the house, and her husband has just died, so it's all set around like the grieving process. But then the daughters all want to go out and get married, and the mom is like super like, no, you're staying here. It was fine. I didn't love it. I was just kind of like, this is cool. So I'd probably give it 3 stars. I was just meh. Finally, a physical copy. So next I read Meddling Kids by Edgar Quintero. I was super excited to get to this because I'm a huge Scooby-Doo fan, and I did really enjoy it. It changes up a lot about Scooby-Doo. So for example, the characters are all different. They all have different names and they're all kind of switched around. Like Daphne, the redhead, her name in this book is Carrie, and she has red hair, but then she is the smart one, so she's in like a mix of Daphne and Velma. Yeah, they like switch stuff up like that, and there's like actually supernatural stuff going on. It's not just a guy in a costume, which I understood doing because it's geared towards adults now, but that's like the super fun part that I love about Scooby-Doo, is that it's like low stakes. So I don't know how I felt about that, and it was like a sort of insane, like the mystery itself was definitely very, very Scooby-Doo. There were like lake monsters. So yeah, I wasn't 100% sold on this, but I did really, really like it. And it was super nostalgic. Like I just really enjoyed reading about this world and these characters. I ended up giving it 4 stars. And if you are a Scooby-Doo fan, I do really recommend this, especially if you do enjoy a real like supernatural story rather than just a guy in a mask, because this will give you that. Next, I listened to another audiobook, and that is Furthermore by Tahereh Mafi, and I had heard such good things about Furthermore. It is a middle grade novel about a girl who doesn't have any color, and she lives in a world where magic is directly tied to color. So like the more color you have, the more magic you have, and she has no color at all, so everyone thinks she doesn't have any magic, and it's really fun. I really liked listening to this. The world is just so fun and creative. It made me think of like Alice in Wonderland or Peter Pan in like, it's in the same vein, I think, and I really, really enjoyed that. And everything about it was just like a little bit goofy, which kept things like really fun. So I definitely recommend this one actually. It wasn't a book that had me running around like, oh my gosh, everyone needs to read this right now, but it was really, really good, so it still gets 4 stars. And then the last book that I read in February is Water for Elephants by Sarah Gruen. And I know a lot of people will be really excited that I finally read this, Emily. And I really, really liked this. I knew I was gonna like it because everyone's been telling me that it's incredible, and it really, really is. The story's just absolutely beautiful and set in a circus. Like, how fun is that? And it's like a frame story, so you're getting it from Jacob's perspective as an old man when he's in this nursing home after he's left the circus. And it's just, whenever you throw an old man into a story, for some reason it gets very sad. Everyone said I was gonna cry really hard. I did not cry really hard. I teared up at the end, but I didn't cry. I don't know when you would cry. I mean, I guess the place where I teared up is probably where people cry, but I don't know where else you would cry. I don't know. It's a great book, and if you're into circuses, adventure story, historical fiction kind of thing, I think you'll really like this, and it's really just really fun. I don't know, it's a really solid book, and the writing is of course beautiful. 5 out of 5, would recommend. I would say 10 out of 10, but that's not how I do my numbers here. So those are all of the books that I read in February. I only read 2 physical copies, which is like, and I did not read a ton of my TBR. The only books from my TBR that I read were these 2. Whoops. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and if you've read any of these books, let me know what you thought of them down below in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Mwah!